Common sense has left human resources and we need to bring it back. Just because others lost their common sense, it doesn't mean that you also have to lose yours. So, hi, I'm Sylvia, an organizational psychologist, and today we are going to talk about how common sense has disappeared from human resources. And the problem that we are having today is because of that. So imagine the scenario, I'm sitting at a HR conference, there are 200 senior HR professionals. Each of them are having the same problem because they have the same system, the same processes. So they ended up with the same problem, and they are looking at each other, asking each other how to fix the problem that they are all having. And I'm looking around thinking, I'm like, am I wrong to think that if I have the same problem as the other person, I'm not going to be asking the other person for the solution? Is it just me? I was looking, I'm like, this is not even real. But how did we get here? And what is it that we can do? Because the solution is really, really simple. And I just can't understand why HR professionals they don't sit down and think that, hey, you know what, let's start how we got here and what is it that we can do. So once again, I'm going to put the link for the article below in the comment field so you can read it. And how did we get here? So pretty much HR is run everywhere in a very similar way, right? So we have the same processes, the same systems, the same SOPs, the same procedures. Everything is very, very similar, right? Why? Because HR was frameworks. We love frameworks. Why? Because HR was told that this is the way of doing HR. You need to put all these things in place, which there is nothing wrong with it. We need structure. We can't run organizations without structure. However, but what we don't think is that these processes and policies and procedures are not suitable or necessary at every organization. So what HR did, they followed the instruction. They put everything in place. They bought the software that they were told. They copy-pasted policies and procedures. They stole ideas, initiatives, and they hoarded everything. And guess where it all took them? These copy-paste practices. That they are all sitting in the same situation because of the same policies and procedures and practices. Basically, they bear the same system. And it's not working for anybody because we know that there is no HR or companies where HR is like, wow, everybody's talking about how good HR is. So it's not working, yet we are not thinking that, hey, okay, so all of us are in the same situation. All of us have done pretty much the same thing. And we all ended up with the same problem. Bravo. And now, let's ask each other, what's the solution? That's the definition of groupthink. And the reason HR got here is because they can't think, right? And also because that if I copy paste and I do what others do, that will justify or give me justification or the blame. I can put it on the blame on them because, oh, everybody's doing it. So if it didn't work for me, it's not me. Everybody's doing it. You know how many times I heard in HR, oh, everybody's doing it, let's do it. Now this is the kind of mentality that is never going to yield in success, because what you need to know or do is look at your situation. So HR professionals, instead of asking other HR professionals, instead of asking Sally, what are you doing? What is your latest initiatives? How about if we ask our employees what they need, what their pain points are, what their problems are? Just would that be so strange? To ask actually your employees, instead of looking outside, you look inside and identify what the problems are. And once you identify what is your problem and what you want to achieve and fix, then you find the right tool. So it's not that the tool that comes onto the market or Sally told you that you should be doing is going to determine the strategy that you do or the intervention, but the other way around. First you do the strategy, what do I want? And based on that, you find the intervention, the tools, etc., etc. Does it not make any sense? That's how I operate. I don't care what Elizabeth in the other company is doing. So look inside rather than looking outside. Now, looking outside is needed once you know what you want. So then you can find the right tool. You always have to keep yourself up to date. So that's necessary. But you HR people need this critical assessment of, do I need this? Do I need this system? Do I need this policy? Is this template useful for me? Do I need every single initiative? Because the game is not to collect every buzzword and incorporate them somehow into your organization, but to find the very few that your people and your business need. And I think this is where HR needs to understand the business memo wrong, because then they started to look at financial numbers. You don't make that money, you're just spending that money, okay? So you don't really need to know that. But know your numbers. But I think what you guys forgot to do as part of business awareness is being aware of employees' problems, the processes, the systems, and how they take your employees' time, therefore you spending your payroll on things. And NatWest, I will put the link below. So read the latest NatWest case study. It's a fantastic case study. So they implemented employee experience design, which I do. And I keep saying to everyone, this is the way forward. And so they redesigned HR processes. And this is the beauty, because once you start looking at, because employee experience design starts with that. Let's look at what's happening with our workforce. So you interview everybody, you survey everybody, you audit your internal processes, your HR processes. How do employees feel about your processes, your exit interview, your PIP, your employee engagement survey? And if they don't take it seriously, if they are just completing it, oh yeah, we just do it for HR, you are literally wasting time and money. So now you are not even financially aware what you are doing. You're not helping the business. You are actually wasting money for your business. So NatWest did that, and I'm so happy. I'm so extremely happy that they did that. So they looked at, okay, what are the experiences of processes in general? They looked at HR processes, operational processes, and this is where HR, when the HR is helping the business. Come here, HR person, look at what the nonsense my manager is making me do and sort it out. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, you need to know which level and the size of the company and, what kind of investment you have. But look at what NatWest achieved, and they are just at the beginning of the transition. I wanted to give you these numbers because they achieved really, really great numbers in terms of saving hours or working hours. I can't find it right now. You see, this is when I'm not ready. But I will put the link, the article link here below. And you will see, basically they have saved like around 300,000 of hours. Here we go. The recent improvements in functionality have resulted in 32,000 employee hours saved. And then they go into investment in HR system has reduced manual processes. So it's also linked to employee engagement. So it's not just an IT infrastructure being implemented. Because remember, how many times you have given a system, here we go, we implement a new IT infrastructure and everybody needs to use it. We didn't use it. The system was hectic. We hated it. It was not functional, etc., etc. So they looked at it. And by implementing that, NatWest Group has made it easier and quicker for HR colleagues, giving them more time to focus on what is important, resulting in higher employee satisfaction. More than 385,000 employee hours have been saved in 2024, and this is on track to exceed 820,000 hours in 2025. So yes, you save, but at the same time, you improve your employees' experiences because you have digitalized paperwork, for example, right? But what we don't do, we digitalize something, but the workload is exactly the same. We don't shift the focus. Okay, lovely. So it used to take you 1 hour. Now with the system takes you 10 minutes. How are you going to spend the next 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 55 minutes, because you're going to take a break on? We never had this conversation, right? So once again, common sense needs to come back into HR. And now let's go back to talking to employees. So you talk to employees, you identify what are the pain points, what are the processes that are absolutely unnecessary, right? Like reference check. Ask these kind of sit down reference check. Does it serve its purpose? If you are just doing it for compliance, it serves no purpose. Get rid of it. Offload or lift the workload, because now you are just keeping your HR people busy, right? PIPs. Ask the person, do you want to fight for your job? If the person says, don't do it, say goodbye, thank you very much. You saved 3 months for yourself, you saved 3 months misery for the employee, right? Or maybe you don't need PIP. Check your legal legislations. What are the necessities, right? Exit interview. If you don't use the data, why are you doing it? Performance management, annual appraisals. Everybody hates the process. If people hate a process, HR process, it's not going to be a good process, no matter what you do. So you ask yourself the question, do I need this process? If yes, okay. In which form employees would like it? And you cannot decide in a conference room with 200 other people because you don't have the people with you who you are designing this process for. So this is where you start from the employee experience design point of view. Let's talk about every single aspect, from talent attraction to exit. And ask employees what are their experiences with these processes, and basically designed on that. Maybe you will find that employees love the employee engagements or annual appraisal, but maybe they don't like the rating part. They love the conversation part. Okay, great, fantastic. But they don't like the rating part. Do we need that rating? Maybe you will find that they don't mind being measured on measurable KPIs, money, guest satisfaction survey, whatever it is, right? Quarterly targets, etc., etc. But they do mind being rated and graded on behavioral competencies that are not measurable, because they think and feel, and you can't argue with people's experiences, because their experience is that, you know what, it's just, you can't measure my critical thinking, you cannot measure how agile am I, or collaborative or team player. So now I feel this is just an opinion piece, and this is a subjective score that goes into my annual appraisal. Now, on top of that, if you don't use your annual appraisal data for promotion, for redundancies, for salary increase, for transfer, then don't do it. If the only purpose of your annual appraisal is for the employees to have a chat, or the manager to have a chat with your employees, don't put through thousands of employees that process. You are wasting money. So ask all these questions about everything, because if nothing makes sense in HR, and this is the problem, You can get rid of so many things. Remember, every policy, every intervention, everything that we do was designed at some point by somebody. Now, today you can be that person who says, I don't need it, I'm going to design. And coming back to the original scenario where 200 senior HR professionals are sitting together, asking each other when they are, it's like two alcoholics, how shall we stop drinking? You will need an external help. You will need somebody to help you because you guys both in the same boat, you're doing exactly the same thing, and you don't even think differently. So you need somebody from the outside who will help you. You need somebody. You need to look to someone who is not facing the same problem. Look for organizations. And I tell you something, good HR people who are not facing the problems that you are having, they are not on at these conferences. I'm sorry to say that. These conferences are chit-chat, good time on company, money, and then maybe a little bit of, okay, we have a problem, what do we do? So when people go for these conferences, they don't give me the impression that they are trying to solve the workforce's problems. So going back to that, look at options, because if you are asking the same person who has the same problem because they are in the same situation and the same system, the processes and the structure got them there, it's a useless conversation. And HR is doing this because it apparently makes sense. And trust me, I can argue for every single HR process because on paper they work. So I'm all with academia. It all came from academia, right? But academia actually never been in the real life, and that's the problem. So we rely on these people, which is fair because we need to have some sort of structure, and those are based on data. But we rely on these people. They're saying, oh, this is the latest competency framework model, whatever. It works. We tested at universities, blah, blah, and it works. These guys never worked in real life. So that's why you need to have both sides, right? You understand what they are saying, but then now you are so competent that you are able to adjust it for yourself and tweak it. It's not perfect, right? Just like you buy a piece of clothes, it might be okay, but needs some altering, right? So you don't buy a whole new or throw it out, you alter it. And sometimes that's all we need. So look at those ones and change, because these processes are designed to work, yet they don't. On paper, they all work, they all make sense. But then humans come into a picture and they conduct these processes. And we know the moment humans touch something, that's it. Common sense goes, logic goes. And that's the problem. Human resource professionals implemented all this because it's a logical solution, right? But when logic has failed us all, because now we are all in the same scenario, maybe it's time to think that for an illogical solution. Maybe it's time to look at solutions that, you know what, nobody is doing it, but it makes sense for my people, for my organization. It doesn't sound logical, but let me try. And here is the thing. There is no such a thing as one recipe, this is going to work. You can only try. And if it doesn't work, you adjust further. And that's what good HR people do. So let's bring back common sense into HR. Get rid of everything that you don't need, okay? But start with asking your employees. Don't ask Sally because she's your bestie and you know her for 20 years. Sally and you been in the same shoes and boat and have been complaining about the same things in the past 20 years. And you are still listening and entertaining Sally's ideas. I'm sorry, no. So sit down yourself, and if you are competent, you will figure it out. Speak to your employees, ignore everybody else. What are they saying? Because you are there for them. What are they saying? What is the nonsense that we are all doing? They don't want it. The organization don't want it. I don't want it in HR because HR is very quick to, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. Well, yes, you are, because you are hoarding everything together. Because you act like an excited teenager adopting every single intervention, well-being, resilient leadership, agility, any word that comes up, oh, I need it. And then we end up using nothing at all. And then it's just chaos. So common sense, ask your employees what they need, check the business, get rid of everything that you don't need and employees don't need, and redesign the ones that are really necessary for a very healthy and good work environment, including leadership. So I hope that helped. If you need help with it, you know my book. So the second one is all about designing employee experiences, the blind leading the disengaged. And the first one was the corporate kindergarten. This is just a fun book. I love that book. Yeah, that's it. Let's bring common sense back to HR, because as it is today, employees are going like, what? HR hate their lives because they are just complaining, and I understand. And business leaders don't even know why HR is just there bothering them. So when people fail to see your value, you need to ask yourself the question. It's on you. I'm sorry, it's on you. So get your hands dirty, take control, take charge, and don't take it from business leaders. HR, you just need to organize some pizza party. This is when you stand up. I did not go to university to organize pizza parties, lovely, and say that. Well, I hope that helped. Bring back common sense to HR, because it's not that difficult, but you need to be with your people. If you are a HR person who is not with his or her people, go and be a finance person.